Hi, this is Raj, your host, Unleashing Talent, and I'm back with another episode today. And today's episode is episode number 35, and we would talk about great leaders reduce power distance and take the best advantage of their position. So, we would briefly talk about what power distance is, and then talk about some of the pros and cons, and how leaders get trapped, and at the cost of the power and benefits of reducing power distances, and maybe some of the tips how you could reduce the power distance. So power is something we all need by design, we all want by design, and the moment we are in a powerful situation, sometimes it becomes the situation where there are people with powers and people without powers. So that happens, and then you have a society with a hierarchical order. And I definitely understand that the hierarchy is important to bring things in order. So authority is also important to a great extent, but we have to learn to use the legitimate amount of authority. While some countries are low power distance, there are countries that are high power distance. And to know more about it, you might like to read Hofstede theory, where he talks about different dimensions, and one of them is a power distance. In fact, I get inspired a lot from the Hofstede cultural differences theory. In fact, if the power is not used legitimately, people can actually go against you, or they start maintaining distance from you, and there could be a loss of trust, and so forth, and so on and so forth. Look at the example of the family. In family also, sometimes the power distance creates a lot of problem, the communication gaps, and so on and so forth, because there's one person who is in power, who is in authority, and then he is the person who's making decisions, and he is the person who is doing everything. So that is another trap if you look at the family, because all of us somewhere lead our family as well. In the organizational context also, the power distance has a huge impact. In fact, the key point of our discussion today is the power distance in the organization, and how we reduce the power distance as a leader in case we feel or perceive or realize that there exists of high power distance. So that's very, very important. So look at the community, for example. Within the community, you have people responsible for community development, society development, in big positions, and if they are not connected with the people, then again there could be a problem, there could be issue. Another example that I think this one is powerful, is the cross-cultural communication. So we are working in multinational companies. A lot of Indian companies are working outside. A lot of people from outside coming to India or other countries. There's a lot of cross-cultural communication. Remember, if you are a leader, and if you're a global leader, you have people working in different countries, and different countries have different cultures, and henceforth it's very important for you as a leader to understand the country's culture, and sense if how you would operate in that country, if it is a high power distance, or if it is a low power distance. Someone coming from the Western world to Asian world, and let's say India, for example, needs to understand that India is a high power distance country, it's a high context country, and accordingly respect people. Now, what could be the cost of power distance, high power distance especially? It could disengage employees, it could spoil your relationship with people. You feel like being aloof sometimes, and you might develop arrogance, or you might lose trust, and it might result into poor communication. People start talking about you. And on the other hand, if you look at the benefits of reducing the power distance, you develop trust because now you are approachable, and you do open communications, you participate with the people, and so on and so forth. So approachability will increase, the teamwork will increase, there would be alignment, people would understand what you are doing and why you are doing that, and what is the organizational strategy goals, and those goals actually are the goals of everyone in the organization. So the alignment would happen, there would be a better communication amongst teams or between you and the team, and you would be able to understand yourself better and understand others better if the high power distance is reduced, and you would be able to co-create value for the organization. So behaviors that are important for reducing power distance are something that very, very important for any leader to understand, and we would talk about that in a moment. So let me ask you a big question. How would you know that you are operating in a low power distance? You are a leader who does not maintain high power distance. You are a leader who is approachable, or a leader who is participating. How would you know? Now, some of the observations that you might look at is when people don't seek your advice, means they are maintaining distance. When people feel hesitant in coming to you and share their ideas, when people maintain a distance with you, to the extent, if I may say, sometimes when people look at some senior leader coming in the corridor, people just stay away from them. There could be other situation when the leader comes into the corridor, he smiles, people smile, and wow, there's a good positive communication that has happened. So also when people don't trust you, and when people listen to your ideas but they don't care about your ideas, they don't value it, right? And let me give you two examples here out of my experience. So one example is, I was working in a multinational company, and we had a visitor from the European country, and the leader was sitting in a cabin on the floor, and every morning he would come to his office, and then the people working on the floor would not look at him, they would hide them, they would maintain distance, they would give him in a way for him to comfortably reach the cabin. And see what happened. This senior leader coming from a low power distance country writes to his HR head and requests for someone from India to contact him. So I reach out to him, and he tells me this story. This is what is happening. I don't know why people are scared of me, but I'm not comfortable. Then I had to explain him that people are respecting you, actually. So it's a respect, it's not something that they don't like. And then the whole perspective changed. I brought him out, introduced him to the team, and then things started changing. One more big example, and that happened with me. I'm not sure if Rick would listen to this podcast, but Rick, if you're listening to this podcast, with your kind permission, I am going to quote one incident that happened with me, and that changed my perspective of a leader, and that was an aha moment for me. I was in the London in UK in our Aldershot office, and I was on the first floor on the corridor walking down, and Rick, who was a very, very senior leader at that time in Computer Sciences Corporation, Rick was down in the courtyard, and Rick actually had visited India, and I happened to work with him on a project on capability building. And then Rick looks at me. I don't know from where he had a glimpse. He was a big guy. I did not work him like a colleague. I was a very, very junior guy for him. But then when he looks at me, he gives a shout, "Hey, Siraj!" And then I looked at him, and that was a moment for me because such a senior leader. Uh, I belong to a very high, you know, power distance country, so I would not have probably reached out to Rick and even said hi. Probably not. Maybe yes, if he would have come in front, but I might have ignored because he may have meetings and so on and so forth. But he gave a big shout and he called me, "Hey, come here." And I went, and he kind of, shook hands with me and smiled, and he introduced me to everybody else. And that was a moment I felt, wow, that is inspiration. So those two examples, how the power distance can be reduced for the benefit for the leader and for the organization. So what are some of the things you could do to reduce that power distance? One is use the legitimate amount of power. Don't show power. Try and decentralize things, delegate things. More importantly, start switching over to listening rather than speaking more, and express empathy. Ask questions to people to understand their perspective. Share moments with people. That's very important. Get into open communications and reflect them into the meetings, and appreciate people openly, and be a part of the team, not outside the team as a leader. Respect diversity, whosoever is, and whatever they do, whatever community place they belong to. Appreciate everyone and accept and respect for who they are and what they are. And don't be ever judgmental. Don't jump on to conclusions immediately. Don't express your anger on others if you are not happy with any bad business results or whatever situation that you might be undergoing. Don't avoid or ignore people. I think sometimes it comes on your face and it impacts people. It's a negative emotional contagion, what Robert Boyatzis says, and I learned a lot from him. So also take care of your non-verbal communication, because a lot of things you communicate without saying, so that's a very dangerous place. It's something like you're walking down the floor and people look at your face and they read everything and they build a perception about you. So don't do that if you want to reduce the power distance. Then keep your tone and pitch under control, because the verbal communication is also very important. Be a team player, collaborate with people, participate in the team activities as a team member, spread a lot of positivity, and at least keep a smile, and you will make someone's day. So I'm hoping this podcast would have been to some extent helpful to you. Please do write your comments and thoughts. Hope to see you on another podcast. This is Raj signing off. Thanks a lot for your time. Truly appreciate it.